I hate intros, Nanatsu no Taizai Season 2, Part 2. Side note, if you're looking for Part 1, you can find it in the description. Episode 13. We hop back into it with Elaine acting sporadically and attacking both Ban and Jericho. Ban is able to calm her down a bit and says that he can accept her even like this if it means that they can be together. This makes her happy, but now that there is no rage to feed the resurrection spell cast by the commandments, she goes back to being dead. Two of the commandments, Moleskula and Galland, appear to attack Ban. Ban uses his ability to sap their strength away, adding it to his own, making him just as powerful, and starts working over Galland. Moleskula forces Ban's soul from his body and Galland eats it. Or so they thought, but Zhivago had showed up and used his soul as a decoy, so he was eaten by Galland instead. This allows Ban to make it back to his body and escape with Jericho and Elaine. We then get a look at Frodron, who is still inhabiting Dreyfus's body. He ends up getting captured by the Pleiades of the Azure Sky after one of their members, Deldry, puts him under a charm spell. Episode 14. Jericho is forced into the carry role as Elaine is somehow retaining life but not enough to walk, and Ban is exhausted from fighting. She makes it into a cave where she finds a mysterious bar and also the last sin, Escanor, who hides them. Galland and Moleskula show up looking for them but end up getting plastered instead. After Galland gets drunk, he's in a good mood, so he decides to let all of them live if Escanor can beat him in a fight to the death where they take turns hitting each other. As the game gets underway, Merlin can sense Escanor's power, with his overall being at over 50,000 and rising. Galland sees that he will lose, so he tries to run, but the commandment's curses apply to the 10 commandments as well, so since he lied about finishing the game, Galland is turned to stone. Moleskula then tries to extract and eat Escanor's soul, but that doesn't go so well and she bursts into flames while being defeated. Escanor has proved to be really strong, but only during the day, so when night rolls around, he's back to being scrawny. And in the last scene, King shows up and is reunited with Elaine. Episode 15. Frodron wakes up bound and talks with Pleiades of the Azure Sky's captain, Denzel, who is King Baltra's younger brother. He is able to break free and has a little skirmish with Denzel. Deanna still doesn't have her memories, so she's learning to dance for Matrona, who we also learn has a family now. Messenger birds appear all over the land, dropping an invitation to the Vizel Fight Festival where the winner's wish will be granted. Meliodas and the others realize it's probably a trap, but they're gonna go anyways. One of the birds attacks and injures Matrona's kids, so she wants to go to the fight festival to make sure it doesn't happen again. Back over to Frodron, whose fight gets interrupted by Grey Road, and both sides decide to fight another time. Before Frodron goes, he tells them that he is more of a replacement in the commandments and the real member is actually Gothard. Episode 16. Gloxinia sets up obstacles to stop the weak from making it to the fight festival, so everybody gets caught up in a massive maze. Danu is separated from Matrona, but is found by Elizabeth and Hawk, who help her even though she doesn't remember them. The three of them then reunite with Gilthunder and Hauser. While fighting with some of the maze's creatures, Hawk realizes his new power. When he eats a creature with magical abilities, he then gains that ability. So basically, he's like a budget Kirby. The rest of the episode is pretty filler-esque, so basically everybody makes it through the maze. Episode 17. Once everybody makes it to Gloxinia and Droll, we learn that Gloxinia is actually the first fairy king. As for the festival, in the first round, contestants will fight in pairs. And in order to win the match, you have to either kill or neutralize the opponent. Elaine and Elizabeth go up against Tora and Jigamo, and Elaine solos them both. Ban and Meliodas go up against Dolzo and Calzo, accidentally killing them while arguing about who the best waifu is. The other matches aren't so straightforward, with King and Dieno going up against Drollgolem and Gloxinia's servant. Episode 18. It starts out as a close fight, but King uses all of his power, again like at the forest, to defeat Gloxinia's servant. Now he's too weak to fight, so it's up to Dieno. She summons some stone versions of the gang who defeat the Droll Golem, winning the match. Moving on to the next match between Gother and Jericho against Hawk and Escanor. We take a quick detour to learn that Camelot has fallen to Zeldris and has become a haven for the demons. Back to the fight, Gother decides to go all out, even striking his partner Jericho down for trying to stop him. He attacks Escanor with a mental attack, putting him in a nightmare. This kind of backfires as Escanor sees a sun in his mind which procs his transformation, although he isn't at full power. They both launch powerful attacks, but Gother is left standing afterwards, winning the match. Episode 19. The reason Gowther was still standing is because Escanor had targeted Gloxinia and Droll instead, dealing major damage. Meliodas goes to fight with Droll and Gloxinia while the others get captured by giant rock hands. One of the contestants, Gilfrost, gets everyone to safety by teleporting them to Leonis, but is exhausted afterwards. Meliodas is left to fight by himself and still wins the 1v2, but then all of the 10 commandments show up. He tries to hold his own, but is severely outmatched. After taking a beating, he tries to use his revenge counter that he defeated Hendrickson with in Season 1, but Estarossa steps in and stops him. Episode 20. It's revealed that Meliodas had abandoned his role as the leader of the 10 commandments and is responsible for the war 3,000 years ago. Moleskula tries to eat his soul, but Ban is teleported back and destroys all of her hearts before she can. Despite Ban's best efforts to stop Estarossa, he goes on to stab through all 7 of Meliodas' hearts, killing him. Upon seeing this, Elizabeth requests to be sent back as well, where she finds Meliodas' pincushion body. We then jump ahead a bit to Elizabeth healing Matrona's kids. Arthur and others are still fighting against the invading demons. Gowther had been imprisoned with his allegiances in question. Jump on over to Ruin and Freyja from Season 1, who have their souls eaten by Frodron. Golgius is alive as well, and he winds up at the Boar Hat where Elizabeth is at. Episode 21. Golgius has a nasty meal prepared by Elizabeth and then dips. We then see that Meliodas' body is being kept safe at the Boar Hat with Elizabeth. Soon after Golgius leaves, the former Chief Holy Knight, Zaratrast, that's been presumed dead for 10 years, shows up at the bar. He was brought back from the dead by Moleskula's spell as well. After seeing that Meliodas is dead, Zaratrast uses a spell to enter his memories with Elizabeth. They go back to Danafar right after Liz had died and Meliodas lost control of his emotions, destroying the city. Meliodas comes walking out of the destroyed city with the reincarnated Liz, or Elizabeth, as a baby. The king had a premonition about Elizabeth, so he adopts her into his family. Meliodas was okay with this as long as he could be her personal guard. However, she doesn't remember knowing him as a child, so this is news to her. Jump back to the present and over to Meliodas, who is now in purgatory. He talks with the Demon King that apparently cursed him so that he can't die. Every time Meliodas had died, the Demon King was stripping away some of his emotions. He tells Meliodas to feed on his emotions and he'll regain his forgotten strength. In the last scene, we see that Leonis is under siege by the demons and Escanor squares up to fight Estarossa. Episode 22. Estarossa can use full counter to block physical attacks and has darkness magic to counter Escanor's sun attacks, so he thinks he has the advantage. Turns out not to be the case, as Escanor's power continues to ramp up and he sends Estarossa and Zeldris flying over the horizon with his last attack. To fight against the other commandments, Denzel sacrifices himself to manifest Nerabasta, a goddess, into his body. Probably wasn't the play because she is immediately killed by Derriere. Elizabeth and Zaratrast start heading towards Leonis after hearing it's under attack. They are greeted by Monspi and Derriere, who seem to recognize Elizabeth. When Derriere goes to kill Zaratrast, Elizabeth uses Arc, which is an ability that the goddess Nerabasta had used before she was defeated. In the last scene, Meliodas wakes up and makes his heroic return, deterring their attacks. Episode 23. Derriere acts as a distraction while Monspi tries to use all of his magical power to surprise and kill Meliodas. Meliodas is able to get off his full counter, blasting Monspi and Derriere away. Over to the side characters, Zeal and Jericho are put into egg things and the others try and get them free. If they break the eggs, the people inside turn into demons, and if you kill in the presence of Grey Road, you lose the rest of your lifespan. Dogetto doesn't know this and kills one of the demon spawn, losing his life as well. Gilfrost was actually Vivian in disguise, who teleports Gilthunder away because she's in love with him. Jericho's older brother, Gustav, stunts the transformation by freezing the eggs, saving his little sister's life before losing his own. This cues the entrance of Merlin, who makes her reappearance back in her body. She is able to kill in the presence of Grey Road because she casts a spell on herself to make her remaining time alive to be infinite until she decides otherwise. She has been alive so long that nobody knew she is the daughter of Belialuin. We don't know who that is, but the commandments sure do and are shook by it. She goes on to destroy the castle while capturing Grey Road in a test tube. Hendrickson and Zaratras begin to fight with Fraudrin. Zaratras uses the last of his life force to purge Fraudrin from Dreyfus's body. This is when Meliodas shows up to fight with Fraudrin, and his overall is sitting at 60,000 now, but he seems a little bit more sinister. Episode 24. Fraudrin is clearly gonna lose, so he plans to self-destruct and destroy the kingdom. Child Griamore shows up and convinces him not to, so instead he requests that Meliodas kills him. Since Meliodas has given off a bit of an evil vibe right now, he is happy to oblige. Merlin explains to everybody that Meliodas has died many times and is resurrected by the curse that the Demon King had put on him. Now his personality has started to regress to what it was when he was the most wicked of demons. Meliodas is conflicted because he doesn't want to become evil, but he needs the power to protect Elizabeth. The next day, the kingdom of Leonis is repaired thanks to Merlin, and Child Griamore is returned to normal after Veronica kisses him. The fight isn't over yet though, with many of the holy knights and city folk that were brainwashed by one of the commandments fleeing to the south. Since Elaine is still alive, Moleskula is presumed to be alive as well, but it's not just her. Zildris, Gloxinia, Droll, and Esterosa are also still out there. We get a quick look at Jericho, who develops ice power similar to her brothers. Gother is released as well, but it still isn't entirely clear where his allegiances lie. I'm going to be doing the future seasons, and that'll be in the bottom left whenever I'm finished with it, or you can check out all the Nanatsu no Taizai recaps in this playlist here. You can also find the links in the description below, and the only thing I hate more than intros is outros.